Hi, you're listening to Book Chat with author Vivian E. Moore.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello and welcome to the show. I am your host, author Vivian E. Moore. I hope everyone is having a lovely weekend. I hope you've had a good week. Today we have the first interview of 2020. I love saying that. And we have with us Scott Lorenz. Scott, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Scott is a book publicist, and he is also president of West Wind Communications, and it is a public relations and marketing firm. He works with authors and entrepreneurs to help them get all the publicity they deserve and more. So, Scott, in your bio, it says that you have worked with best-selling authors and self-published authors promoting their books. So can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing for the past 25 years?
What have I been doing? Well, first of all, I have a passion for books. I've been promoting books for quite some time. In fact, the first book I ever promoted was Howard Hughes' The Hidden Years. I was in college.
Oh, wow.
And a local TV show that I had placed some people on over the year when I was in student government said, hey, we'd like you to promote this book. And so I did. And it was it's how we found out about Howard Hughes and his proclivities and basically the early onset of Alzheimer's. But in any event, that was my first exposure to promotion of a book. That was in 1976.
Wow, that was a big one too. That really was.
Yeah, it was. It was a good book.
Yeah.
So, and over the years, I've promoted all types of books. I work with first-time authors, and authors who've had mega best-selling books, and everybody in between. So it's if there's a good match, there's a good personality match, and I like the book, and it's something I can get behind, then I can do it. And I'm happy to do that.
Well, that makes all the sense in the world. And you said that you work with best-selling authors, so. Is that like behind the scenes? Because I know that most best-selling authors, well, not all best-selling authors, but on the traditional end of publishing, do you work with traditional publishers? Authors as well, published authors as well.
I work with everybody. I'll have a publishing company will hire me to promote an author's book, but 95% of the time it's an author that hires me, even if they have a big publishing company that they're working with, because most publishing companies only do so much.
Okay.
And in today's world, authors are finding out that they don't do that much.
Okay. Unless
you're a big-time author and you got a big backlist, or you got a celebrity and you've got great contacts and you got great name recognition.
Okay.
So I am the cleanup hitter, so to speak, to use a baseball analogy, to help authors, promote their books and do what the publishing companies are not doing. So.
Okay. Well, it also said that you worked with more than just authors. You've worked with CEOs and Navy SEALs and fitness gurus, right. Doctors, lawyers, and things like that. So what exactly, you're doing promotion, but in what type of promotions are you doing for them?
Well, so a CEO might decide to write a book about their business or about how they got into business, and they use that to give to their employees, okay, or to attract new clients and so forth. One of the clients I worked with this summer was a money manager. So he didn't have to sell 1 million books, all he needed to do was bring in more people to become interested in his money fund, in his mutual fund. And this book basically, in effect, was a brochure.
Okay.
So that's an example of how a CEO can use a book to promote their business. And all they need, if you bring in a few clients with a few $1 million, then, who cares about the book sales?
Right.
I have another client who really wanted to establish himself in, it just because he was so young. He was a CEO of one of the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies, but he was so young that he wanted a book to help people to take him seriously. I mean, he was in his 30s, and so he published a few books, and I promoted those books for him, and he's used them beautifully to establish credibility in the marketplace and to just convey to people that who he is. He's had him. These books are on the table when you go into his office. He's got a framed picture of one of the books that had it put up in Times Square in New York City on a big billboard, and that's blown up. It's just part of the imagery that we all create for whatever reason, and in his case, it's just for credibility purposes.
Well, that's brilliant. Yeah, that was a brilliant plan. It says that what you do is you conduct book marketing classes, and you've done this at so many different places. The
Learning Annex in New York City had classes, and I taught some book marketing classes for them, and we do some video classes for others, and I've spoken in front of some groups to talk about book marketing and book promotion. But my primary business and what I actually get paid for is I actually are paid by authors to promote their books on TV, radio, newspaper, magazines, and get the publicity that they cannot get for a variety of reasons. I've been in this business for 25 plus years, and I have good contacts in the media, but I also know what the media is looking for. I'm in constant contact with the media. I'm talking to them. I'm pitching them. I go to New York a couple times a year, and I actually pitch them face to face so I can see what they're interested in. I can hear what they're interested in. I can see the reaction on their face when I pitch them a story. And plus, I'm a news junkie. I follow the news.
Yeah, me too.
Day and night. So you want to know what's going on? Just get a hold of me. I'll tell you what it is, and the weather too. But it's what I have to do to be successful in my business. I have to be on top of the situation. So I know what the media is looking for, and I'm in tune with that. Okay, so it helps, and that's when the author hires me. My firm, that's what they get. They get somebody who's in tune that knows how to get a story placed.
Well, okay. Well, and that's good. On a percentage, what would you say would be the success rate of most of your clients? Are they happy with the services that you provide them?
I think most people are happy, and occasionally somebody may not be happy. But I think it's expectations. I'm very careful about who I work with, just because they're not going to get on Oprah. Most authors are, even though she only does her shows once in a while now. Yeah. But I mean, that was the number one goal. Yeah, get me on Oprah, Good Morning America. Yeah. Don't worry about all this other stuff. Well, no kidding. I just like to play in the World Series and not have to play Little League Baseball too. Right. So, in this world, you've got to actually earn. You just can't go play in the World Series in Yankee Stadium. You've got to play minor league ball, and you got to work your way up the ladder. Everybody wants to start on the top, right? But unless you have earned your way in some other form, in some way, you're not going to start out on the top. Well, and the big TV shows don't want to take a gamble on somebody who's never done a decent radio interview or a TV spot. It's like, why bother? There's so many qualified people that are out there. Exactly. You got to cut your teeth. You got to pay your dues.
Well, I think everyone, no matter what your profession is, if you want to be on top, you need that reality check. because you got it, like you said, you have to pay your dues in order to, if you want to be on top, then you have to work your way up to that level. Of course, unless you have a ton of money, and of course, if you have a ton of money, then you don't need anybody to promote you.
You can't buy your way onto Good Morning America. You cannot buy your way onto. Some shows are for sale, but
right.
For the most part, though, you cannot buy your way into the media.
Right.
You can't buy your way onto the View.
Right.
It's just that's the way it is. So you have to earn your way on. Here's the thing: they have a show to put on, and they want to make sure that the show that they put on is what the audience wants to see, or it will entertain them. It'll make them say, "Oh wow!"
Mm-hmm.
It'll make them cry. It'll be interesting to them, or it'll inform them. They want to just have somebody on there talking about their book and how great it is.
Right.
No one cares.
No, they don't. They really don't. Unless you have celebrity, behind your name, celebrity status behind your name.
Right. So, anyway, it's a project to get publicity.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be easier. I can tell you that. There's a lot more competition.
Right.
And there's a lot more access to the media
mm-hmm.
than there ever has been. You remember the TV? Remember 60 Minutes, the TV
yes.
show on Sunday night? Okay.
Yes.
So remember the guy at the end of the show? His name was Andy Rooney.
Yes.
Okay. I actually called him a couple times and
mm-hmm.
talked to him. Right, you could just pick up the phone and call.
Mm-hmm.
He'd answer the phone.
Wow.
Guess what? You can't get anybody on the phone now, and nobody answers their phone.
Right. They have assistants.
And the phone is now an interruption to their day.
Yeah.
Email doesn't work like it used to.
No.
You got to reach out on Twitter,
mm-hmm.
Facebook,
mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, and face-to-face.
Yes.
And sometimes direct mail now is even more effective than a lot of stuff.
Wow.
Because there's not as much of it as there used to be.
And that's the truth. That's the truth.
It's very interesting how things have changed over the years. But, that's what we're in this business. That's what we do. We're out there, pitching our clients to the media. So we're in constant contact with the media
mm-hmm.
every day of the week. So... and we build the relationships that help us be able to, keep the door open. So they'll take my call, or they'll take some phone calls do work still to some extent, but not like they used to.
No. So what I want to talk about is some of the key things that you do, like book marketing strategy. I just want to spend a little bit of time on each one of these because I want to work my way down to the Pyro marketing, because I want you to explain that one a little bit more in detail. So, but for your book marketing strategy, what is your usual plan for your clients?
Well, every plan is, every book is different. Mm-hmm. Okay, every author is different, but every book has one basic element, and it's who will want to read this book. You have to figure this out. Mm-hmm. And if you have a children's book, there's no sense in talking to the Wall Street Journal about your children's book.
Right.
Okay. So you figure out the audience. The audience is really important. And then you got to figure out what in this book is going to make somebody interested in reading the book mm-hmm. or interviewing the author. Okay. Sometimes the author is more interesting than the book. In fact, when it comes right down to it, on a novel, we get right down to it. Most people aren't going to want to listen to the characters of a novel being discussed on a radio interview or a TV interview. You're just going to flip right by that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's just like, hey, I don't know the characters. I don't know what they're talking about, and I don't care. And they flip by.
Right.
But if you have an author who is an interesting person, who's led an interesting life, who had an interesting story, mm-hmm. which led them to publish a book about, this novel. Okay, now you've kind of woven in their life into this, the reason they did this novel.
Right.
You gotta paint a picture. You gotta make people interested. It's mm-hmm. about the story. Mm-hmm. Okay, the story of the book or the story of the author. It's you've got to solve a problem. You've got to entertain somebody. You've got to tie into current news. Mm-hmm. These are all things that we figure out mm-hmm. for every book. So that's what we do, and some books, it's incredible how much coverage we get. Mm-hmm. Okay, I had a long time ago, I had a book by an author who was a car dealer, and it was a novel. Well, this was a tough book, but one of the things we talked about, we pitched them just talking about the business of the car business, okay? And people were fascinated by his insight into the car business.
Wow. And
then we wove into this part about his book and the tie-in. And so you just have to, it's a project. You got to really figure it out, you know.
Okay. Well, but that's good though that you individualize each client, because you have to, because everyone is different. Now, for book publicity challenges, tell me, how do you face that? How do you deal with that?
Well, there are challenges always in a book. It's never super easy. If it was really easy, they wouldn't call me in the first place. If it was easy, they'd be, the biggest problem an author would have would be just to handle the phone calls and get themselves scheduled. They'd have to hire an assistant just to take the inquiries. That's a nice position to be in. I was in that position once several years ago when I was working on a publicity project for the guys that were flying around the world in a balloon.
Wow.
And I was the PR director for one of the balloon teams. And this was one of the great moments of my life as far as PR is concerned. I literally had Good Morning America on my landline, and I had the Today Show on my cell phone.
Wow.
This is great.
Yes, that was major.
But it also was a really hot story worldwide, and it was something that people really wanted to find out about. It was life and death and this great adventure, okay? And we weren't trying to sell anything. The minute you try to sell something, that's when the media goes, well, I don't know, it sounds like you're selling it.
Yeah.
So you have, and that's really a good lesson, because when you're really making news, the media is knocking your door down.
Right. Yes.
When you are trying to sell something, then you literally have to sell it to the media to get them interested.
Wow.
Okay? So you have to make them want to interview you as an author, because you've got something that's good that the audience needs to hear. Well, that's a trick. That's tough.
I think it's I think with the media, especially television shows and things like that, they want people on that's going to boost their ratings and the amount of people that view the show, on a daily basis. So that makes sense. So that you would need to tie publicity with with the things that they're also looking for, as far as a guest on their show or things of that nature. Now, we did touch on publicity just a little bit and book promotion just a little bit. So how in depth do you go when you are doing the promotion and publicity blitz on an author's book?
Well, we go as far as we need to go to get the bookings. Okay. In radio, TV, newspaper, magazines. I mean, I just booked an author down in Atlanta, and a few days ago, and they liked her book. And this is a project we've been working on since November. And here it is, January 5th, and we just finalized the deal.
Wow.
They got, they got the pitch, and they got the email pitch, okay, from me, which is a press release. It's a photo of the author. It's a book trailer that we created for the author's book. And we packaged this all up to make it interesting to people. And then they liked the pitch. They said, send us the book. So I sent the book, actually a couple of books. The producers read it. We touched base. They gave us a couple dates in December. The author couldn't do it. So they said, hey, come back in January and we'll talk. So, I mean, it's what you call a nibble, a big nibble around the bait on the hook, so to speak. And then, you could lose it if you're not careful.
Yes.
And so we got back in touch in January 5th and said, hey, we'd like to, hey, we're here still. We can do it. Here are the dates the author's available, and bam, she nailed it down.
Wow.
And not only are they going to do a half-hour show on one show, they're paying for her to stay overnight, and they're going to do a TV show the next morning.
Wow.
On the same family of networks. Okay, it's a Christian TV.
Oh, okay.
So, but I can tell you that was extremely difficult. It took a month and a half to do, and it wouldn't have happened if we weren't on it.
Right.
Nothing happens. Nothing in this business happens just by itself.
No, you have to work.
Make it happen.
Yeah, you got to work at it.
Right, you got to make it happen, and you have to be patient, and you can't be too pushy. You got to be firm. You've got to be. I don't know. You got to kiss a lot of babies.
I knew you were leading to that.
But no, I mean in a nice way. I mean, really, it's just you got to just do what you got to do. But I mean, you have to follow through on all this stuff, and it's a project. And now the other thing about my business is that I'm circling back. We're going to talk to those same people about two of my other authors that are that have books that would be perfect for that show. Okay, and that's the beauty of what I do. When we book a radio show, we'll book 3 authors on it at one time. Okay, that's called synergy, and so that it's good for the radio producer because they can knock out 3 people with one guy's phone call talking to me or my bookers, and that works for them. Okay, and it also works for me because I have the contacts that I can book somebody on that, multiple shows or multiple authors on one show. It's a nice deal. It
is, and I mean, but still, it's individualized because, like you said, you booked that person to a show that was this Christian based. So, so with each one of your clients, because there's so many different genres of books, then you sort of have to pitch to whatever marketing needs that that will suit that book or suit that author, so you can get them into those venues. So now let's talk about Pyro marketing. I want to talk about that for a bit and just find out what it is and what it is that you do when you're marketing books this way. Right.
One of the great books written in this field was a book called Pyro Marketing, and marketing your book or your product or service to the people most likely to be interested in that product or service. Okay? I mean, you cannot. That's the saying. You can't sell ice to Eskimos because they don't need it to get all ice. Okay? You need to sell things to people that actually need it. Okay? So that's, first of all, identifying your most likely audience. If you have a Christian book, you need to sell it to Christians, not a group of atheists.
Right.
Makes sense, right?
Right.
If you've got a business book, you want to talk to people who write about business books, or like the Wall Street Journal or Bloomberg or something like this. If you got a children's book, you're going to talk to Parenting or Family Circle magazine or some of these other magazines that deal with children and parenting and so forth. So it's going to the places where the book is most likely to have success. Okay,
that makes all the sense in the world.
Right, and so the author of that book, Rick Steelstra, actually wrote a book called Pyro Marketing, and he worked on the book that the most successful book in the Christian genre. It's escaping me.
Was it the Purpose-Driven Life?
Yeah, Purpose-Driven Life.
Okay.
Left my brain for a minute. Yeah, Purpose-Driven Life, and and where did they sell that to? They sold that to people that were already most likely to be interested. They didn't go to, they went to people of Christian faith,
right?
And they sold the book and they promoted the book inside that space.
I bought that book, so I have that book.
Big book, but it became famous because the author was very. He was already speaking to the Christian community and to churches and to people who ran the churches and so forth, and he offered various services to them anyway. So this was like another service that they offered. So Richard Warren, it was a great book, but they marketed it to the people most likely to be interested in it. That's the essence of it, and the reason there's the word pyro in it is because pyro is fire. If you start a fire, you take a match and hold it up to a log.
Right.
You start with kindling. you start with and smaller sticks, then you put some bigger sticks on a pile, and the next thing you know, you get a log on the pile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's how you start a fire, and that's how you market a book. Same way, you start where it's most likely to be successful, and you start with that small fire, and you build it into a bigger fire.
Well, I understand now why you've been doing this for so long, and so great at it, is because you cover every angle, and you lay out a plan for your clients that actually makes sense. You're not trying to feed them a lot of bull crap, but you're just giving them the truth, laying it out for them. And so, but I think what the bottom line is that, they will be successful based on what it is they're trying to sell. So if they have something that doesn't really, that's not really interesting, then it really wouldn't be worth your time trying to market it for them. Maybe you could, would you advise them to go back and work on this some more?
It depends. There are sometimes I get a book and I look at it and I go, whoa, this thing needs editing. Mm-hmm. It needs a lot of work. So I'll send it. I'll say, hey, you need to. This is either too long or whatever mm-hmm. it is, or it needs a good edit. There's 3 typos on the first page. I mean, mm-hmm. I can't promote a book like that. You don't want to. I put my name on the line.
Right, that's bad business for you. Yeah.
So if I look at a book and try to assess it with if it's got some issues, then we'll say, look, you need to have somebody fix this book, an editor. Mm-hmm. I can recommend somebody, or you can find one yourself, but it needs to be fixed, and then come back to me and then we'll talk about it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we've done that a number of times over the years. We've also had books. We take a book. Sometimes it's already been out for a few years, mm-hmm. and sometimes the author. The book is under contract, and then they just got the book back, and mm-hmm. it's several years out of date. Mm-hmm. Well, we can help them get the book up to date. I can hook them up with a ghostwriter, mm-hmm. and they can fix the book. One time we had a book on parenting, but this book on parenting was written by an older woman, and she was already a little even older at that point.
Wow.
And but it had no references to things like,
modern
smartphones.
Modern, yeah. It was not modernized.
But the parenting techniques were excellent. Mm-hmm. The parenting techniques were very, very good, and they were solid. So I said, why don't you just add a chapter in here about, working with technology with your kids in today's world. Mm-hmm. And she added that in, and boom, yes. It became more culturally relevant,
yes.
And it did fine. So. And a lot of times, too, when people first put their book out, the cover's no good. They get a bad cover, they get a bad design, mm-hmm. or they get a bad title. So we can help people, rebrand the book.
Right, because that's important. Yeah, that's very important.
If somebody comes at me with a book it's 2020 right now. If somebody comes at me with a book from 2013, guess what? Nobody wants to read that book.
No,
it's too old.
It's outdated.
What you can do is title the book, mm-hmm. get a new cover, make some changes to it, bring it up to, make some edits, and then republish it. Well, and now it's got a 2020 imprint, and you can take an older book that may not have had a good success because it was improperly promoted or not promoted at all mm-hmm. by the publisher or the author, and go back into the marketplace with it. So,
well, what do you do? Okay, but what do you do when you get a client who, and I have to ask this question because I'm just wondering about it. You get a client who has a book that is just not interesting at all. What do you do with that?
I don't do anything with it.
Okay.
I can't help you.
Okay.
Nobody wants to read a boring book. And,
right.
Here's the other thing, too. I am not the sole judge of these things. The marketplace is, okay? There are books I get it that I just go, I don't know where this book is going. I'm not sure what the deal is with it, but it's not my place to judge it.
Okay.
It's the marketplace's place. Okay. And I don't have to be a 100% believer in every type of book that we deal with. There's some things you can you can promote something even at my family used to be in the restaurant business, right? You don't have to drink every drink behind the bar to know that you may not like them all, but you can certainly promote them.
Right.
You don't have to drink some nasty whiskey or something if that's not your cup of tea. So to be able to sell it. So in my business but we still have, in our business, it still has to be a good product.
Okay.
It has to be something we believe in, and it's got to look good. It's got to have a decent title. It's got to be well written. It can't have a lot of mistakes in it. I mean, they're still finding mistakes in Gone with the Wind. Okay.
Very true.
There's never, nothing's ever done.
100%. Yeah.
Nothing's perfect, but
right.
I mean, it's got to be pretty close to perfect.
Yes.
Because here's what happens too. If a book is not in good shape, guess who sees it first? The reviewers. You know what the reviewers going to say?
Oh, yes.
They say, it's a pretty good book, except they need a good edit.
Right.
Okay? That's like a knife in the heart. Or it's a pretty good book, but they obviously didn't have a proofread.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, those are terrible things. You don't want that kind of a comment. And a reviewer, and they're being honest, is going to say that sometimes.
Yes.
So if it's not in good shape, make it in good shape. And you can't be your own proofreader if you're an author.
Right.
I don't care who you are. Get somebody else to proofread it and make sure that it's perfect. I had a book. One of my clients had a book, and this thing had 6 people involved in the proofreading of it. Okay, 6 people, and everybody, and then we had the book printed. And I'm not a publisher, okay, but I helped to facilitate it. But so they had it published, and they had advanced reader copy, so we could look at it and just make sure, with a final copy before we printed thousands, to make sure it was in good shape. Okay, I can tell you that
it wasn't perfect.
Everyone thought it was in great shape. Guess what? It wasn't.
It wasn't. They needed that 7th print.
I opened up the book because sometimes when you print. You go from the manuscript to the printed book, they get formatting changes. The first word was typo.
Oh my God.
The first word. Instead of the, it was his. And had taken the T and dropped it. They had capitalized the H.
Oh my God.
And everybody missed it. And I just got lucky. I just said, well, I'm going to start at the front. And I look at it and go, the first word is not right. So this stuff happens, and you can't let it happen. You got to fix these things.
It does. And I mean, and I read the Bible, and so I have different, not versions, but different, KIV and things like that. And so when you're looking at it, there are typos in that, but I'm pretty sure it's from the people who transcribed it or whatever. During the publishing, they may have like you said, in the formatting of it, sometimes it takes letters away or make them capitalized or whatever. So I've even seen errors in that, but I've not seen one book that I've ever read that did not have some form of typo in it.
Right.
So, I mean, it's virtually impossible to find every mistake, but like you said, you want it as close to perfect as you can get it.
Right. So, and if it's a real mess, then my reputation is on the line too, and I'm just not gonna. I mean, I can't represent somebody's.
And you shouldn't.
No. So that's one of the things. That's why you hire a publicist, because here's what happens: the reviewers that I pitch know that I got a decent book that I'm representing.
Right, because of your reputation,
They will open the email, okay? Or somebody in the news media that knows me. They will actually open the email or take my call. And so they know that I represent good stuff, good quality work. And I have media people tell me all the time, it's like, oh my God, your authors are terrific. I love all of them. They're wonderful people. They're so good. Well, that's good. I love it that they know that I only represent high quality. Okay, so they don't have to be famous yet, but they need to be. The products need to be high quality.
Well, based on your reputation, they know that you are not going to send someone or try to pitch someone to them that that you have not vetted completely. So,
Right.
you know, they can trust that. So that's a good thing. And that's a good thing for you too. So I have learned so much today from just chatting with you. And you're welcome. And so before I let you go, because we're coming down here to the last few minutes, I want you to tell the audience how they can reach out to West Wind Communications for your services.
Well, here's the one thing that would be very helpful. If you want to, if whether people can afford me or not, okay, they can find some really good information on my blog, okay? Because basically what's on my blog, I implement that for my clients, okay? It's book-publicist.com. Because I'm a book publicist, okay? Mm-hmm. So it's book-publicist.com. Go there. You can find some good tips on everything. I'm working on an article right now about how you can take your book and turn it into a Hollywood blockbuster.
Wow.
Using some of the services that we recommend. We dug them up and found them. That'll actually, these are services that are like matchmakers. Mm-hmm. They'll take your script, they'll take your book, and pitch it to Hollywood producers. Okay, it's really cool. Okay. Just discovered this. There's so many things. There's book awards. One of the things I recommend for authors is to enter book awards. Mm-hmm. Because once you win a book award, now you got more credibility.
Right.
And when my clients win a book award, I put a press release out that says, hey, so-and-so book has just won a book award. I had Sesame Street get a hold of me one time last year when one of my clients didn't even win it. We just got an honorable mention. Mm-hmm. I put a press release out, and Sesame Street said, "Wow, that sounds like a good book. Send it to me." So these are things that book awards open the door for.
Right,
okay?
right.
So I recommend that. I got a whole list of them on my website on that book publicist, and the other website that is that you could go to and that I have is bookmarketingexpert.com. Bookmarketingexpert.com and then book-marketing-expert.com.
Okay.
You go there, fill out the form. I got paperwork that you can, tell me about your book, your links to your website, all that stuff. And tell me more about yourself, and then I can help people out. So
okay. All right.
If I can do something, I will.
Well, all right, folks. So there you've heard it. So you have multiple ways to reach out to Scott and to West Wind Communications. So please do that. And again, thank you so very much for all of the information, for your expertise. I really do appreciate it, and I'm sure the listeners do as well. And I thank you for agreeing to come on today and talk about your company.
Thank you, Vivian. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye now. All right, folks. So that was Scott Lorenz that we just finished chatting with on today's show. And it was very informative. And maybe we can have him back on the show at some point in time. I love speaking with people that has a overall view of the market and covering everything. He sent me a message, covering everything that you need to put yourself out there. But first of all, you have to make sure that you're marketable. So I think that's that's very important, and I just thank Scott so much for doing that. But before I let you go, because we have only a few minutes before I have to end the show, I want to make sure that you have ways of reaching out to me as well. And the first one, of course, is to Spreaker, and that is at https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian E. Moore. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And you can also go to my website, which is at https://www.authorvivianemore.com. And if you read my blog, it is updated on a weekly basis, and that is vivianemore.blogspot.com. And if you missed today's live version of the show, you can definitely catch the recorded version on, of course, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, and the newest one, Pod Chaser. And tomorrow is worship day, so I hope you're planning on going to church tomorrow. And make sure you take some family members, friends, neighbors, and by all means, take some kids with you. And tell someone that you love them, because tomorrow is not promised. Today may be the only chance you get to say that. So I love you. I hope you love me back. Until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.